Episode 88.
However, Nephew Han, what made you think of coming to the Jade Dew Hall? You should know, whether it's opening a furnace for alchemy or a cauldron for artifact forging, it's best to have at least a foundation establishment level of skill. Aren't you here a bit early?
A man in red robes asked offhandedly. At that moment, the two of them led Han Li toward the circular formation.
Well, I just happened to hear and see a lot about pill refining while I was with Uncle Ma, and while tending the herb garden, I managed to gather some ingredients. So I thought I'd come here to try my luck, to see if I could find a suitable recipe for some pills that could help improve my cultivation. After all, my aptitude is truly lacking, so I can only rely on some external aids.
Han Li's answer was a mix of truth and lies, and he deliberately fell half a step behind the other two.
That's how it is, but I wouldn't get your hopes up, nephew. Once you're inside, you'll understand what I mean.
By now, the three of them had reached the edge of the circular formation. One of the red-robed men gestured for Han Li to stand in the center, while the two of them took up positions on either side.
Normally, using the teleportation array requires a fee of 1 low-grade spirit stone. But since this is your first time, nephew, we'll waive it for now. But next time, we'll have to follow the rules to the letter.
No sooner had the words left their mouths than the two of them, with practiced ease, each sent a beam of crimson light into the formation. Instantly, the spirit stones embedded within the array began to glow. Before Han Li could even thank the two, the world suddenly spun around him and the surrounding scenery blurred. Then, in a flash of light, Han Li found himself in an unfamiliar great hall, standing atop a formation array identical to the one he had just left.
So this is the legendary teleportation array. Truly marvelous.
Once the disorientation from the teleportation faded, Han Li took a moment to survey the unusually large hall around him. The hall Han Li found himself in was truly unusual. It was a massive cylindrical room, about 100 yards across and 40 to 50 feet high. Pale red crystals were embedded in the surrounding bluestone walls. The floor was covered in a thin layer of white sand, giving the entire hall a clean and tidy appearance. But if someone were to look up, they would be stunned to discover that the ceiling of this hall was covered in countless densely packed white stalactites hanging upside down. This was actually a rare limestone cave. This place was only slightly modified to become what it is now. 3 passageways were evenly spaced around the hall. 2 of them had ancient characters carved beside their entrances, one for Qi and one for Pill. The final passageway was completely bare, with no markings or signs of any kind. The hall was empty. Han Li gave it a quick scan, hesitated for a moment, then headed down the passage marked with the character for Dan, the Pill. The corridor wasn't very long. After a dozen steps and a turn, a slightly larger room appeared at its end. Inside the room was a long table, and beside it stood a ruddy-faced old man who was smiling at Han Li. Against the back wall, several worn-out shelves were lined up behind the table. They were crammed with all sorts of cauldrons, raw materials, and a jumble of strange odds and ends Han Li had never even heard of.
Well now, young friend, your face is new to me. First time here, is it? These days, fewer and fewer newcomers find their way to this God-forsaken place. I've long grown tired of seeing those same old faces. It's truly wonderful to have some fresh, young blood around here.
Han Li had already realized his Heaven's Eye technique was ineffective against the old man, unable to gauge his true depth. This meant the old man was also a foundation establishment expert. How could Han Li dare to be negligent? He immediately bowed and responded.
Respectful. Greetings, Senior Uncle. This junior is indeed visiting the Moondew Hall for the first time. I would be grateful for any guidance you can offer.
Well, if there's anything you don't understand here, young friend, just ask away. And I'm surnamed Shu. You can call me Uncle Shu or Old Shu. Oh, enough with all this Master Uncle this and Master Uncle that. I don't care for it.
As you wish, Senior.
Han Li hesitated for a moment, then agreed with a shrug, thinking the other person was a bit odd.
Good. That's more like it. Now, tell me why you've come here.
I was hoping to find some books on pill formulas to study the art of alchemy.
Han Li tried to make his words sound as roundabout and indirect as possible, hoping not to draw this person's attention any further.
Oh, alchemy formulas and manuals. They're just up these stairs.
What surprised Han Li was that the old man made no move to question him further. He casually produced a black token, cast a spell incantation, and a stone staircase leading to the roof materialized out of thin air in the empty space behind him and the shelves. Han Li was overjoyed and hurried to the foot of the stairs. Just as he was about to ascend, old Shu suddenly revealed a sly expression.
To view the collection on the second floor, the fee is 1 low-grade spirit stone per hour. The original texts are not to be removed from this place. If you wish to copy the contents, there is an additional fee of 10 spirit stones per copy.
Before Han Li could even set foot on the stairs, Old Man Shu's unhurried voice laid out the regulations from behind him. Han Li's entire body froze, a torrent of curses nearly bursting from his lips.
That's way too expensive. Forget the 10 low-grade spirit stones for a copy. Even the 1 spirit stone per hour browsing fee would make many cash-strapped disciples think twice. A low-ranking disciple can only earn 20 or 30 spirit stones a year from various jobs. After factoring in daily cultivation expenses and other costs, they're lucky to save a mere handful. That fee of his is absolutely extortionate. What a ruthless profiteer.
A flicker of something strange passed over Han Li's face, but he didn't pause for the old man's words. Instead, without even looking back, he tossed a low-grade spirit stone over his shoulder into the man's hand. He himself then strode quickly up to the second floor.
Interesting. He wasn't scared off by the price. Looks like we've got a little money bags on our hands. Looks like I'm about to make a tidy little profit.
Seeing Han Li head upstairs with such a bold and generous air, the old man's eyes crinkled into happy crescents.
He rubbed the spirit stone vigorously against the hem of his robe a few times, then held it up close to his eyes for a careful inspection. The miserly nature was on full display. Han Li forced down the frustration in his heart, steadying his mood before carefully examining the affairs of the second floor. It was nothing like the spacious, bright room he'd imagined, packed to the rafters with countless books and bamboo scrolls. The room on the second floor was decently sized, but the furnishings inside were pitifully sparse. The room's entire furnishings consisted of 2 grimy bookshelves, a grubby table, and a single broken chair. Of course, there were still 20 or 30 old yellowed books on the shelves. On the table were a few bundles of tattered bamboo slips and 2 jade slips whose original color was impossible to make out.
This is so shabby. Did I come to the wrong place? This is supposed to be a great sect's secret archive? It looks more like some poor scholar's dilapidated study.
Han Li was thoroughly disheartened by the sight that greeted him.
If not for his fear of Old Man Shu's unfathomable magic power, he would have stormed downstairs right then, grabbed the man by the collar, and demanded an explanation.
After taking a deep breath, Han Li calmly walked over to a bookshelf, pulled out an old book at random, and began to examine it carefully.
The 5 elements of heaven and earth correspond to the 5 viscera. Needling the correct points with a golden needle can transform essence and generate vitality.
He had only read the opening lines of the book, and he was immediately struck with astonishment. He instinctively closed the book and looked at its cover. The words "Golden Needle Secret Technique" appeared before Han Li's eyes. Han Li's face instantly fell. It's not that the book is bad. In fact, it contains rare and secret techniques for treating illness with golden needles, methods that can even revive the dead and stimulate a patient's latent potential. But what does this golden needle technique have to do with alchemy?
What made it even more infuriating was that he had already read this book countless times under Dr. Mo's tutelage. He could even recite it backwards.
This is clearly a medical text from the mortal world. How can it be sitting here so openly?
A cascade of questions flooded Han Li's mind, making him furrow his brow in deep confusion. But as his gaze fell upon the remaining books on the shelf, a sense of even greater foreboding settled over him. Han Li scrambled to flip through the remaining old books, one by one. With each book he finished flipping through, the shadow on his face grew darker.
After scanning every book on the other shelf, Han Li's expression had turned as dark as a storm-choked sky.
Not a single one of these 20-odd books was about alchemy. They were either secret arts for healing the sick or bizarre folk remedies for strange and difficult diseases. Most bizarre of all, one of them was actually a poison master's personal treatise on toxins. These are all just mundane, practical texts.
Time's up. Keep reading and you'll have to pay extra.
Suddenly, Old Shu's voice rang out from downstairs.
You want spirit stones for a pile of garbage like this?
Han Li was at a loss for words. Still, when his gaze fell on the items on the table, he fished out another spirit stone from his person and tossed it down the stairwell.
Got the spirit stone. You keep looking, young friend. I won't disturb you any further.
Han Li didn't bother with the old man any further. He understood perfectly well that, for someone whose greed was so blatant, whether he showed respect or not no longer mattered. What mattered was that he could keep pulling out spirit stones and keep the profits flowing. Han Li, however, had no intention of wasting another spirit stone, so this time he flipped through the bamboo scrolls on the table much faster than before, skimming just the general content instead of reading every single word in detail. Under the soft white light of a large moonstone in the ceiling, Han Li's expression shifted with each bundle of bamboo slips he turned. After finishing the last of the bamboo scrolls, Han Li stacked them back in their place and let out a soft sigh.
The records on these bamboo slips do contain several pill formulas and some notes on ingredient preparation. But unfortunately, judging by the composition of these pills, they all seem to have roughly the same efficacy as the yellow dragon pill and gold marrow pill I've already taken. For someone like me, who's already reached the 11th layer of the Eternal Spring Arts, they're completely useless now. My only hope now rests with those 2 fist-sized jade slips. I hope what's recorded inside doesn't leave me empty-handed.
Han Li picked up a jade slip, gave it a light blow, and revealed its true form, a lustrous, emerald green gem. He pressed the jade slip firmly against his temple, and slowly sank his consciousness into its depths.
The method for refining a pill appeared before his eyes. It was the formula for the Foundation Establishment pill, the very thing Han Li had been dreaming of. It covered everything, from the raw ingredients to the final condensation of the pill. He was both shocked and overjoyed.
He didn't even spare a glance for the other jade slip, immediately focusing his mind to scan through the entire contents. But when his mind's eye passed over the words stating it required tempering with primordial true fire to form the pill, Han Li froze,